Hello, my name is Anjali Kanagaratnam and I'm a curate at the Bybrook Benefice. A few years ago, I was lucky enough to attend the World Athletics Championships in London. I'm not usually interested in athletics, but this was an exciting event, particularly due to the fact that Usain Bolt, who's widely recognised as one of the greatest sprinters of all time, ran one of his last 100-metre sprints in the last quarter of the 4x100 relay heats. We were fortunate enough to be sitting directly above where Bolt positioned himself, and so we watched this legend of an athlete coming onto the running track. He greeted the crowd in his own flamboyant, inimitable way, and then a hush descended on the arena as the athletes prepared to race, and Bolt's focus was only on the goal in front of him. The race began. On receiving the baton, Bolt sprinted, only looking ahead. He was single-minded in pressing ahead. Straining forward, he completed the race, winning the heat for the Jamaican team. In Philippians 3, today's epistle reading, Paul likens himself to an athlete, pressing on towards the goal with the same single-minded focus I witnessed in Usain Bolt that day. Paul explains that he had every reason to be proud of his Jewish heritage, but he considered it all a loss compared to the greatness of knowing Christ. Paul's devotion to knowing Christ reminds us of Jesus' parable of the precious pearl, where the man was prepared to give up all he had in order to obtain the pearl. Knowing Jesus in all its fullness was the goal of Paul's life, and he was prepared to give up everything else in order to achieve this goal. For Paul, knowing Jesus was not just about knowing about Jesus, a head knowledge, but knowing Jesus, a heart knowledge that encompassed his whole life, and he was prepared to live a life of sacrifice and service. Every athlete recognizes the importance of only focusing on the goal ahead in order to win the race. Looking back is costly. Paul recognized the particular call that God had on his life and the need to ignore the distractions and temptations along the way. He could have looked back on the past with regret, particularly his persecution of the church. This would have sabotaged his present focus. It would have sapped the energy required for him to run the race that God had set before him. Instead, he chose to accept the forgiveness and freedom he'd found in Jesus, so that he could strive ahead, focusing only on the goal that lay in front of him. Our goal, like Paul's, is to know Jesus, to be like him, and to be all that Jesus has in mind for us. Are we prepared to run the race towards the goal with the same single-minded focus, fulfilling that which God has called us to?